Hello, everyone. I am very happy to see you around and to have you all around here. My name is Ludmil, and I am DevRel contributor at Near DevHub. Today, we're going to have our fourth TOOS community call. So if you haven't attended one of those calls before, those are informal sessions that we do regularly, that we talk about tools, the community, and the ecosystem and in general. So if you would like to present or get some updates or news or suggest discussion topics, then I highly recommend you to join our Telegram group that you can see below. It's the Near Tools community group. On today's agenda, I have the pleasure to actually be joined by Zahid from Jutsu.ai, Yuval from Lavanet, and Eugene from fastnear.com. And yeah, today we'll be having those three presentations, and then we will have some time for open discussion. I hope. Before we actually begin with Zahid, I would like to give a quick heads up about the DevHub newsletter. The DevHub newsletter is an awesome place that you can get. We just sent out the second part of the second issue of the newsletter. It's a great place to get like TLDR versions of about what's happening around the developer ecosystem around Near. So I strongly recommend you to sign up for it. And another quick shout out I want to give is about the survey that we are running. We just recently put it on. So the DevHub survey is basically we are trying to gather some data in order to see how we can further support developers and tools and the ecosystem in general. So please, after the call or whenever you have some time, just take 5 minutes to fill. We know that it's boring, of course, but then again, this is like one of the ways that we can improve for the future. So yeah, Zahid, are you with us? So without further ado, we can start.
Okay.
All right, then, take it away. So for those of you who missed the last call, Zahid actually gave up a last-minute updates that there were like breaking changes of what's changed to Jutsu AI. And so on this session, we'll be getting updates of what's happening with it and what are the news and yeah, what happened post it Denver and what are the plans for the future. So Zahid.
Okay. So those who don't know Jutsu, so at Jutsu, what we are trying to build is a Web3 Copilot where you will be able to build a full stack dApp just using prompt. We are not there yet. So right now, what we have is you can build a front end using prompt, and then you can deploy that front end as a boss component. You can check our website in jutsu.ai, but this generative UI part where you can build a front end just using prompt is bento.jutsu.ai, where you can see like we launched this platform during it Denver, and already we have more than 400 component people build. So it's like a super interesting. So you can see all these UI are kind of just made up using prompt, and this is not just one prompt. So you can have a collaboration and kind of improve your improve your UI. So these are like if you come here, you can type whatever apps you want to build. These are just few examples. Let's say like how many of us created some sort of registration form. So you can create a registration form using like create a user registration system with username, password, and date of birth. Then when you click, it uses large language models to kind of create the front end code, and in few seconds it will show you a basic version of the UI. Then from this basic version, you can keep updating updating the UI. So let's say I can say like, can you can you change the background color to, I don't know what is your favorite color, but my kind of favorite color is, one of my favorite color is green. So in few seconds, it will kind of change the background. So you can see like it changed the background. Now maybe this card is not centered. Can you center the user registration div? Let's see if it can center the user registration div. So the idea is like you will have a series of conversation, and then it will kind of keep updating the UI. So you can see this version, it centered the UI. I don't know about you, but like I'm not a backend developer. I'm not a front-end developer. So using Flexbox and like a moving div into center, sometimes it takes me some time. But you can see from here to here, it's like just a series of conversation. And then when you want to deploy as a boss component, right now we generate kind of a pure JavaScript, CSS, and HTML because of the status of the boss VM. So whenever we settle with the web engine, probably will generate the code that is kind of equivalent to web engine. But right now, in one click, we have that in the boss in the Jutsu editor, and then I can just deploy this component. So that's the first part of generative UI, that you can generate a UI and then deploy in boss. The second part is let's say sometime you might want to kind of explain some code, or like this is a code, like I have no idea what is happening here. So we have a kind of a Copilot feature. It's more like a GitHub Copilot, where you can ask question about your code. So here I want it to explain this function. So if you ask, it will explain this function. So if you don't know what is going on in this function, so the idea for this is kind of help you understand and kind of write better code. So it's not just explain. So if we go back, you'll see like it can explain, it can generate code, it can write a documentation it can suggest a documentation for your code. So there are a lot of things it can do. So yeah, these are kind of a two big feature update from the generative UI side and from the Copilot side. Moving forward, we want to support kind of as you know, like the claim was to build a full stack. That means like both smart contract and the boss component. So the future goal is to support smart contracts so that you can build a full stack Web3 app. So yeah, that's kind of the demo. So if you have any question, I'm happy to kind of answer. Yeah.
Yes, I do. You can unmute yourself and have your question.
Do you have a question? Or?
Yeah, awesome. So like I had like while you saw the demo, I saw that you can explain code. Do you plan on I'm sorry. Do you plan on actually incorporating that as a learning tool as well? I mean, like would Jutsu would be used as a learning tool as well for those newcomers to like both components or smart contracts?
That's a great idea. So that's in our like a kind of our pipeline, but like the next step is kind of you probably, some of you probably know we have a learning platform. So probably in there we'll incorporate this kind of a learning feature.
Yeah, amazing. Any other questions if I see in the chat for Zahid? Let me know.
Thank you.
There would be, I wonder if it would also help implement fast out. Matthias is.
What is fast out? I need more.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess not. Well, fast out is a tool that helps us actually for users to sign in and make use of like actually get to using different different gateways like near.org, and so basically a way for users to start interacting with the blockchain without actually having the wallet themselves yet. So yeah, this was not really a question from Matthias, but he was wondering. Anyway, so if there are no questions that we can see, I guess we can continue on with Yuval from Lavanet. Yuval has been with us on, I think, 2 calls before. He gave a brief overview of what Lava was doing, and basically they're helping to scale services as well. And they do have the partnership coming up with, well, actually undergoing with Near Foundation, where they're incentivizing RPC nodes. And yeah, so like I guess that we'll get some updates and maybe the coming mainnet you have, Yuval, or am I mistaken? So if you're ready to present, then take it away.
Yeah, so I'm sharing the screen. Hope you guys can see.
Yep, we can.
Yeah, nice to meet everyone. I'm Yuval. I'm leading partnerships at NBD at Lava Network. Now, Lava Network is generally building a modular network of node providers. We're building the modular infra layer for Web3. Essentially, generally, how it works is we're a Cosmos-based app chain, and Lava enables anyone to get access to a very large network of top tier providers, and that starts with RPC. It moves on to archive data, then advanced APIs, indexing, oracles, IBC, relayers, etc. So any kind of Web3 data structure that you can think of can be added to Lava. And the cool thing about Lava is that we have a very large network of providers. So whenever something is added to the protocol, we're able to onboard a very top quality group of providers to support this API. And we've been working with Near Foundation to essentially create a more diversified, more smooth RPC experience for users and developers on Near. The more redundancy of providers, the more reliable the experience becomes. So we're trying to onboard. We actually onboarded like a pretty large amount of providers. I think the number now is around 60. And the endpoint is already live. We've been kind of working together for a while. Generally, kind of how public RPC usually looks like, it's a lot of, if you Google Near RPC, you'll find probably like the top 5, 6 providers. And as a developer or as anyone who wants to access the chain, you have to kind of do your own research. You have to try the top one. And then maybe you want to find a cheaper one. So you try the second and the third, and then one of them fails. So you try to, it's a very long journey until developers find a reliable endpoint that they actually can use in the long term. And that's a pretty painful experience that can sometimes make it hard for developers to focus on developing. Excuse me. And what Lava does essentially is it aggregates top providers into a single endpoint. So the developer has only one endpoint to choose from, and the endpoint connects them to the top providers in their geolocation. Now, it's not like a standard proxy server that you just send a relay to, and then it will load balance it and direct it in the direction of some nodes. It will actually give you what we call pairing. So it will pair you with 12 top providers in your geolocation, and the service will be completely peer-to-peer and off-chain. And then the Lava blockchain acts as a settlement layer for providers, which are incentivized in NEAR tokens on the incentivized public RPC initiative. So you can see here in the image, there's one endpoint, many providers, and the top ones are chosen for the user. So as I said, it's already live. We have mainnet and testnet endpoint. Let me actually send a link. No, it's depending. It can be for the user as well, depending if it's an app or a wallet.
Just to bring, for those who are joining us from the recorded session, there was a question by Owen asking about EU apps and not EU users. So this is what Yuval was referring to.
Yeah, so I sent the link for the endpoints in the chat. So we actually launched in the beginning of February, and we've seen some amazing adoption from the NEAR ecosystem. We've been working with a lot of teams and developers. So you can see we've served 242 million relays in the last month. Compute units, or CUs, is the breakdown of relays. So it's a more accurate measurement of how much compute resources are invested to support those relays. So you have, for example, you have RPC relays and you have archive relays, which are way more heavy and expensive to run. So that's one example. Also, by the way, archive data is also supported on the Lava protocol. We have 56 active providers. I made this deck like yesterday, so I think today I saw like 59 or 60, which is cool to see more people joining every day. And another cool thing that you can see is that we've added NEAR to what we call Magma. So essentially, Lava, as I said, is a blockchain. We're currently in testnet, but we're getting very close to launching mainnet, which is very exciting. And we launched what we call, so as you know, Magma is lava while it's still underground, and once it erupts, it's called lava, sorry. So we're currently in the testnet phase right before eruption. So Magma is a gamified experience where any user can interact with Lava. Essentially, you log in with your wallet, and we're working on a partnership. We already announced Sender Wallet and are going to announce and launch Here Wallet as well as a partnership. So you log in with your NEAR wallet, and then you get an RPC endpoint for NEAR, testnet, and mainnet. You put it in your wallet. So now every time you are active on-chain, every on-chain action that you do is sending RPC relays through Lava's endpoint. And for every on-chain action that you make, you get Magma points. And the Magma points in the future might make holders eligible for any kind of incentive structure that is decided by Lava Foundation. So essentially, it gives anyone in the NEAR ecosystem the ability to engage with Lava prior to mainnet, which I think is really cool. And it also kind of engages users to be more active in their wallets, in their dApps. And we're working on a few more partnerships with some cool dApps in the NEAR ecosystem. I know it's number 4, so it might be confusing, but that's kind of like the coolest thing that I think the new thing that we're bringing to the NEAR ecosystem this month. Let me actually drop you guys the link. So that's points. Some other stuff we've done this month. So we're working, as I said, with Near builders on some future collaborations to be announced. We actually met up in East Denver, and we did a talk with Near Dev Hub. We're also participating in a lot of other co-marketing initiatives. So I really encourage you guys to check out Points. You just take your endpoint, you put it in your wallet, and from now on, every time you interact with Near on chain, you will get Lava points, which is really cool. And yeah, as I said, we had a really good month. We're going to publish a monthly report that details those details and more about the traffic on the endpoint, the health of the endpoints, the providers, their activity, etc. So I'll share that with the team and the community when it's live. And yeah, I think I talked enough. Let me know if you have any questions.
Amazing. Thank you. So before we continue, are there any questions for Yuval? Going once, twice, or three times. Yeah. So yeah, I got to say that there is no better time that you guys, like Yuval from LavaNet and also Evgeny have joined about this call. So we are all familiar that for the past like few weeks, there have been some like issues with RPCs and generally like the nodes on the networks, and people are experiencing rather issues. So there is definitely like a problem, or it gets like traction points that have to be solved. So such solutions are gladly welcome. So this is not only but for isolated chains, but in general into the space. If you want to bring like more interactions for the future, if you expect to have like the billion users aspect. So yes, scaling more. So the scaling the RPCs and services in general and access to data is pretty viable. So yeah, I think that there is like no better timing to have you around. So I'm very happy to
Thank you.
talk and continue the discussion on it. So since there are no questions for Yuval at the moment, first of all, thanks for thanks Yuval for the updates.
Thank you, guys.
And yeah, I look forward to see like more data, probably on the call before, it's like how actually are people using your service. Without further ado, I also like to welcome Evgeny, more known as Eugene, who is one of the biggest contributors to our ecosystem, and thanks to his efforts and his time, we have like quite a big amount of interesting projects that have been initially his undertakings. And he's, I believe that actually for the past month or something, he has been working on FastNear, which is going to he's going to share some updates with it and like some news with us now. But essentially what I understand of it is that they're working on a new way, which is to like essentially a new way to run nodes and provide services with them. If I'm mistaken, I'll be happy to be corrected. So Evgeny, if you are ready, please take it away.
Hey, sure. So I'm Eugene. We started FastNear pretty much to scale some of the APIs that were like struggling, and we realized that there's huge demand coming in from Hot Wallet and like new apps that launching, and the traffic that they have will probably like exceed, like we will double the capacity of archival data probably within a month based on the traffic that we receive from them. So Sweat and Kaichink were probably just kind of isolated instances that were like high number of users but low volume on number of transactions. So with what happens with Hot Wallet, we get ton of transactions with like ton of users. So that will increase the demand on the infrastructure that we have, and a lot of the stuff that previously was run by Pagoda, including the explorers and some of the APIs, will have hard time to scale properly. So we decided to step in and to fix some of these pain points very fast, and realized what else we need to build to support the scale of this. And then I personally developed a ton of projects on Near, and I know what's the pain points that developers face. And that includes stuff from the indexer and like subscriptions to and just getting raw data. It's all costly right now, and like Lake indexer, for example, requires S3 payment, and that's fairly expensive to get the whole historical data, around like 2K or more. So we're trying to fix some of these problems so developers can come in and get access to the data as long as they are willing to pay for the traffic on their nodes, not on our side. So some of the APIs that we provide will be completely free and enabled for the community, so long as they don't cost us that much. Some of the APIs will be probably paid at some point, and we hope to provide as much as possible for free to the community. And second one is all of our work will be open sourced and available for people to replicate if they're willing to run the hardware. So we are still very early, and like most of the data and like APIs and documentation is fairly flaky, but some stuff is kind of getting better. So let me present a quick overview of what we have so far. I just wrote it like right now to explain. So the idea is we currently provide a single API, and this is a replacement for Kit Wallet API that returns forcing. So it does a reverse lookup on public key towards account ID, and that information is actually should be available on the nodes itself, but they are not. So we basically provide it. And then it provides you a list of fungible tokens, contracts on a given account, NFTs, and validators towards you, an account delegated. And that's pretty common information that when you open a wallet, you need all of this info updated in real time when you open it, so it has to be fast. So every wallet opening is required. And that's pretty much how we built it. So we have Near nodes on mainnet that just sends raw indexing data in JSON towards kind of message queue. We use Redis for this. And we store, for example, last 10,000 blocks in this Redis queue. We have a bunch of consumers that subscribe to this Redis node to consume raw blocks, so they don't need to run their own RPC nodes or read this from Lake indexer. So they read directly from this queue, and there's a bunch of them. So first one is just dumps data to the disk, so we have a historical view of all the blocks once they kind of disappear from the queue. Then the second one, it's updating fungible tokens, NFTs, and validators on a separate live Redis instance, which we call kind of master instance. And it just saying, okay, this user touched this particular fungible token in this block. Reset the value to nothing, to empty. So that data is later. And the third one, we have a ClickHouse database that we use for quick analysis and some of the backfill of the data. For example, like give me all fungible tokens that user ever interacted in the whole history. So the master data Redis instance is being replicated to multiple machines. And they on the same machine running an instance of the Passnear API. This is just a Rust server that reads data from the local instance of Redis. and serves it to the client. So when you need a fungible tokens of a given account, that account ever interacted, it makes a query, uses a set on Redis, and it retrieves it from memory. So that's less than a millisecond on a local machine. And then it just serves this to the client on a request. So behind it, we have in front of it, we just use the simple DNS-based load balancer right now, because we are not sure how much the traffic will get from the wallets. So we are not really using the actual load balancer, but depending on the load and demand, we can consider this. So, and we have, I believe, 6 instances right now that were able to serve about like 5K TPS, RPS each, hitting from like 5 machines. So that got us to around 30K RPS, but it probably was limited by a single machine hitting it. So we might be able to serve more. And yeah, we ask wallets to basically switch to us, and we're probably very reliable right now. So instead of actual Redis, we use Dragonfly DB, which is multi-core Redis alternative. And that's what we have right now. You can go to the GitHub link. I will send it to a chat. And you can see what APIs are available. So it's live and should be fine to scale up to certain point. And that setup doesn't cost us much on the way we run it right now. So we can provide this data for free and scale it more horizontally, pretty much the same way we scale this.
Amazing. Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, meanwhile, if you have any questions for Eugene or Fastnir, just put them into the chat. I actually had a question myself, because in the recent past, I think the past week, I have seen users reporting that they are missing, well, the wallet applications are not sending, like, they're not showing their staked amount or something like that, which is like, it is only like, is it the issue? Was it that most of the wallets at the moment were relying to Git wallet? So basically, that's why there was a congestions with the networks. And is Fastnir going to be able to mitigate that in the past if a lot of the wallet applications currently available on Near switch to Fastnir?
Yeah, that's the hope, that once more wallets switch to Fastnir, it still requires RPC right now to retrieve the balances, the actual balance of the token, so like the actual stakes. But we are exploring a way that would just do this at the moment when we update the data. So the plan right now is pretty much, once we calculate all the updates that needs to happen in a given block, we, instead of writing an empty value, we will write the actual value for like balance of the fungible token of the given user by hitting an RPC node at this time. So that will pretty much remove a load at the runtime and move it towards the indexing time, which would be very small compared to like actual demand from the users. I know Pagoda is developing a read-only RPC that is based somewhat on a similar stack, except they use some other database, NoSQL. But it does work very similarly. You can scale the database, you can scale the machines, you don't need to scale the compute. And that increases the throughput of the read nodes dramatically.
Nice. Thank you very much for your answer. And like another question that I got, like since your code is open source, that means that of course everyone can replicate your service. But where would you encourage people to do that? When would you encourage like third parties to do that and replicate what you're providing?
So for this particular service, it's probably not as important to be replicated because we will provide it. But some other services that will require more scale, for example, like ClickHouse, is a bit more expensive to scale than like this type of approach, just because it requires you to be heavy on compute when you making a query. So that stuff we want people to run on their own, and that shouldn't be that expensive. So we can provide a pretty much setup and recommend hardware requirements. So our also idea that we don't want to use cloud and prefer to run bare metal just to have a predictable costs. And that's just a philosophy of this.
Yes, amazing. Thank you for your answers. So are there any questions for Eugene and Fastnir? Just drop them into the chat so I can bring them up.
I have a question.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
Eugene, do you see like, or do you see other people also run the same stack, or let's say Jutsu run same stack, or you use Fastnir as a service?
It's obviously up to you, but
Okay.
so our setup should be fairly cheap to run for other companies. So our goal to basically, at some point, we'll write a proper documentation how you can spawn all the stack, and that will give you flexibility. So if you want to index something custom, that would be a really good option. That requires some extra pieces, such as like historical data, to be provided as well. So right now, our other co-founder of Fastnir, Vlad Grachina, he provides some of the cool stuff like Web4 and Near Lake torrents, where whole historical data is just indexed on our torrents. So you should be able to get the data on your machine, backfill the data that you need, and spawn the instances. For like, let's say you want to index all the social interactions and move it to like a Redis for quick retrieval. You will be able to do this pretty much just forking the stuff, slightly modifying the processor and doing it. We also plan to provide some of the consumer endpoints for the blocks stuff, like just providing raw blocks and subscriptions through like WebSocket or something like this. Just raw blocks right now are fairly large. They're like a couple megabytes per block. So it just requires extra throughput depending on the number of consumers. But if we don't expect actual users to hit it on only developers, then we probably can handle it easily. If it's like users who would want to subscribe to this, then it will need extra scale.
And how much it is different from the query API that Pagoda created? Kind of
the query API is kind of very cool tech that they have. It's a, I believe, JavaScript updater. Works somewhat similar to what we have in Rust, and then it writes it into a SQL database. So it's somewhat similar to what we have, except depending on how the backfilling works for the query API and whether you need historical data, is it sequential or not, you will have a different time creating this.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, amazing. Thanks very much for answering the questions, Eugene. We have another couple of minutes, which we can use for open discussion and see like if it sparks any interest to you. But one of the things, and as you mentioned earlier, I'm super happy that Eugene and also Yuval have joined us today. Is that like I would like to know and how we can, for example, a lot of the tooling that has been built in the recent or medium to recent past is relying on the same RPCs, for example, and how do you see not like a plausible solution or in the future to avoid such kind of congestions where all the tooling is hitting the same RPCs, which were the previous like publicly released, and like how do you guys see that like to actually mitigate that, essentially to make a load balancing against the RPCs and different services in general, because yeah, you're both in the same space and providing more or less something into a similar goal. So what do you see the future would be like? Yuval, Evgeny, so anyone? Well, this is not a question, this is just an open questions to anyone. So if you have any inputs, that would be like, to be honest, me personally, I have seen, because we have seen all the tooling that has been produced by be it Pagoda or the foundation, they're hitting the same RPCs, and therefore a lot of congestion is happening. So I've been thinking that maybe we should provide a way so like this tooling can actually provide ways for people to either select different RPCs or like custom RPCs. Some of the tooling that we currently have already started doing that. We saw that recently Miner Wallet as well now lets you select an RPC server, for example, that you would like to interact through. So I think this is also amazing, but like what other solutions or ways do you think that there possibly can be?
Well, yeah, it's like selecting it, like build it into wallet selector, or align the RPC somehow towards the account, or just like when you log in through the wallet, it should return the RPC that you're willing to use. All of this is kind of good alternatives. So ideally, you on a wallet side, you select the RPC, and then whenever you sign up to any of the applications through this wallet through limited access key, at the same time, it would pass the preferred RPC endpoint to the app, and app just can let you select the RPC as desired by the user. So this way, you can build subscription models on the account level where a user actually have access to this RPC by paying the like monthly subscription to the RPC. So this way, RPC providers can actually monetize their stack and provide the best RPC. So in this, LavaNet seems to be a fit for this if they can handle that type of data. That requires slightly modifying the RPC, or challenges identifying that the request comes from the given user. So that might be settled through either cookies of us or something like bearer token in the headers of the read requests.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. Because I totally agree with that. So that's why I was happy to see that what Miner Wallet did, and also there is a way that you can select in the YRS. There is also a way that you can add like custom RPCs, so we can avoid congestion in general. But yeah, apart of that, I personally haven't come up with anything else. Maybe, I don't know, in future we would have like one load balancer in general, run either by community, yeah, probably, that can just switches to different RPCs, which is similar to what LavaNet is doing, but yeah, so it's just on another level of it. So Yuval, if you have any input on that, I would also be happy. I'm assuming most of the people on this call as well. So if you have any inputs, that would be interesting to hear.
Yeah, I think definitely, RPC redundancy and diversity should be encouraged. I think making it easier for users to change the RPC endpoint and customize it is very cool. So what my Near wallet is doing is really cool, and we're actually working on some similar collaborations with different wallets as well. And at Magma Points is also kind of an incentive for people to get more engaged with, and get more familiar with how the wallet is working on the back end, be more aware of what RPC means and the effects of RPC, and the fact that you can even change it. Most users probably have no idea that it means anything or that it exists. So yeah, I'm not sure if there was another part to the question. I'll be happy to.
Yeah, no, for me, not, yeah, there wasn't a part like from another part of my question. I was just like trying to get interested into it because, yeah, I think that's in a way, the easiest way would be, yes, to most end users facing applications to provide them with such kind of a service, such kind of a way to avoid congestions. So yeah, that might be the way. So maybe in the future we have like a meta app for RPC selector or something like that. So that's pretty much what I had. So is there anyone that wants to add something? If not, then maybe we can wrap it up. I assume not. So, well then, yeah, I want to thank to Eugene, Yuval, Zahid, and everyone who joined us today. Before we go, I just want to share with you again the DevHub Developer Survey. Check out our newsletter that was going into the pinned message and the slides before. If you would like to present your project, you're currently working on tooling, or you would like to start up a discussion or present what you're currently working, I strongly encourage you to join the Near Tools community group, and where we run these calls regularly. You can get to know better the community and what we're doing on DevHub pages and also our Telegram group. And with that, I guess I would leave you around here, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
one.
Thank you, Eugene.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.